If we had more time, I'd invite each of you up here so that you could show me where your company or organization falls on this business life cycle. Now, I've done this before, and I can kind of predict what most of you would say. Growth, right? Despite maybe the age or maturation of your company. That's because that's where you want to be. But the reality is that every company rides through this same curve, from startup to death, from inception to protection. As companies mature, the instinct to protect what is replaces the drive to create what could be. This makes sense. Managers are not incentivized to take big risk. In fact, it's just the opposite. They're incentivized to not make mistakes. And that is the paradox of success. It breeds complacency. And complacency, dare I say, is the precursor to death. The difference between death and rebirth, well, these companies over here, they reimagine what could make them relevant. Netflix is taking on Hollywood and creating their own content. Extremely relevant. Lego partnered with key companies like Star Wars, and they're all in user-generated content. Relevant. Amazon, what started selling books, now sells everything, and by the way, they power the web. Relevant? Yeah. And Apple's Apple. So the question becomes, when you reach the top of the curve, are you going to protect the past, or are you going to invent the future? Without intentional disruption, most companies are going to be disrupted. Did you know that Kodak, dead, invented digital photography? And they buried it. Did you know that Blockbuster met with Netflix and laughed? These weren't failures of technology. The technology was on the market. It was ahead of its time. A failure of imagination. That imagination, that spark, it has to come from within. What if the next disruption came from inside your company? That's the promise of intrapreneurship, building the future from inside out. An entrepreneur thinks like a founder, but builds within existing walls. They don't wait for permission. They test, they learn, and they rally others to make ideas real. Instead of saying, someone else should fix that, they're the ones that say, let's build the solution. Intrapreneurship, it's an interesting bridge of two worlds. The agility of a startup with the resources of an enterprise. Now, I don't know about you all, but I'm sort of terrified and tantalized about the world today. Yeah, AI and automation, like they're changing every single job. What used to take teams months can now be done with a click. But there is some good news here. You see these skills, creativity, initiative, adaptability, collaboration, that can't be automated. And they're deeply human. And you know what? They're what makes progress possible. So tomorrow's leaders won't just manage operations. They will reimagine them. They'll take initiatives when others hesitate, adapt faster than change itself, and bring people together to make ideas real. Now, what does it actually mean to think like an entrepreneur? So here are 5 habits I see in people who build the future from the inside out. 1, entrepreneurs start with questions, not answers. They don't accept the old, well, that's the way it's always been done around here. They ask why. Curiosity is what turns routines into opportunities. When you find yourself thinking, that's odd, or that could be easier, that's your spark. 2, entrepreneurs notice what others ignore. Frustrations, the bottlenecks, the workarounds. Every pain point is an unmet need, just waiting for a solution. If something annoys you or slows down your team, Don't dismiss it, investigate it. 3, you don't need permission or perfection to start. Run a small test, prototype the idea, see what happens. Entrepreneurs know that progress beats polish. Every experiment teaches you something that a meeting never will. 4, no one transforms a company alone. Entrepreneurs find allies who see what they see, but just from a different angle. The goal isn't to convince everyone. It's to find your first believers. Movements start small, but spread fast when people feel invited in. 5, data persuades the mind, but stories move the heart. If you want your idea to live, you have to make people feel its impact. Frame your innovation not as a feature, but as a way to make life better for someone else. Now, these 5 habits, they're not reserved just for startups. They're survival skills, dare I say table stakes, for the future of work. Because when you start thinking like an entrepreneur, you stop waiting for change and start creating it. Most people inside organizations, they follow the script. They keep systems running, and that is important. But every once in a while, one person sees things differently. They challenge assumptions. They ask why. They are the spark that reminds the org that they can evolve. That's the entrepreneur, the one who builds the future from the inside out. I challenge you all to be that person.